Hi, I am Dee Dee Jones.
And I'm Stan Copeland, the pastor of Lovers Lane United Methodist Church in Dallas, Texas. And we're so excited today because we have a colleague we get to interview.
Right. Super excited.
This is the Reverend Kay Eck, and Kay has been on our staff for 18 years. I remember
a long time.
she was a teacher, a middle school teacher, and started working with our youth, and then started going on mission trips. And before long, the Lord called her into ministry, and we hired her as quickly as we could. And then she went to seminary, then she got ordained. And now she's the executive pastor, which means that she's Dee Dee and my boss. And we've got a great boss, by the way. But Kay, just tell us a little bit about your ministry first. Just what you do here and.
Well, I'm so excited to be with you both. My ministry as executive pastor is I love to support the staff. I love to support you, Stan, and right now, I'm also working with our children and family ministry, and that's been a lot of fun, too.
Job.
Amazing
job.
You've worked with children and youth, I guess, most all of your professional life, for sure.
I have. Yep. I love them.
Either as a teacher or in the ministry capacity. It's been really good. And you met your husband, Robbie.
Yep.
And y'all were married 9 years ago.
9 years ago by you.
Yeah, I know it. That was a special
That was
day.
a great day.
It was a great day. And then y'all have a wonderful family. Why don't you tell us about your family?
We do. We have 3 kids. I have 2 stepsons. They are almost 13 and 15.
Yes.
This month and next. And then a daughter named Ellie, who is 4.5.
So cute.
She's the best. She's a great gift. Yes.
Your kids are all wonderful.
They are.
They really
Special
are.
Kiddos.
But Ellie's coming about. That wasn't the easiest thing, was it?
It wasn't, no. We struggled with infertility for a long time, and so that's what we're going to talk about today. Yeah, it's just that journey.
All right.
Well, I loved, because I was here in ministry with you when that journey was a part of your life.
Yep.
And I loved watching you be so strong, but so open about what was going on in your life. And in ministry, that's hard because you have to be careful about everything you say. And and you know, while you're telling the rest of the world, hey, God's got this, it's going to be okay, you're going through your own mountain. And what was that like, Kay, being this strong woman? Leading, because you also have other jobs on the side that are helping lead pastors, and you're in this road, in this journey. What was that like for you?
That's a really great question. And as I've been thinking about this, Robbie and I went to dinner last night, and we kind of, one of my curses and blessings is that I can forget a lot of things, or maybe just block out a lot of things. And he was like, "Hey, it was really, really hard for you." You know, on the times that we went through all of these months that you didn't get pregnant, you would be sobbing. And I think I just kind of blocked that out, but would present at work, you know, just go about and do your job and be really strong. But it is really, really challenging to walk down that road of being disappointed, but yet holding on to hope. And I was thinking about, before I came on, hope really is my favorite word. I've held on to hope forever. I was just mentioning to y'all earlier, hope is my favorite word. I tried to get it tattooed on my finger at one point, and at a low point in my life when I was holding on to hope at that point, many years ago, like 2010, in a dark place, but still holding on to hope. And so I wrote with a little tiny Sharpie marker on my hand for 6 months, right here, hope. And just to make sure I wanted a tattoo. And so then I was like, I've been doing this for 6 months. So I went to the tattoo parlor, and the guy was like, "No, you can't get it on this side of your hand, you dum-dum." I was like, okay. So I kind of let go of that. But I remember in a life group Bible study, we were studying 1 Peter, that talks about living hope, that hope is alive and living, and that's because Jesus is alive and living. And so though Jesus died, he was resurrected, and we can experience resurrection here and now, no matter what we're facing. And so holding on to this idea that hope is living is really important to me, and that in all of these different spaces that, you know, we've faced challenges, you focus on that hope is alive. And that's because of what Jesus has done for us. I think that's how I was able to navigate some of that journey.
How would you tell women going through something like that right now in their life? Like, how do you find that hope when every month comes along and it's another no, it's another negative, it's another, I got to do this all over again, one more month?
I would say, I know what it's like. And it's challenging because it feels like you're alone. And when you talk about infertility, it is really hard because it's such a private thing, and you're talking about things that, or you're not talking about things that, you know, are just private, and they're personal, and they're about your health and the health of your spouse. And then you have to go and do all of these crazy things that you just don't talk about in, you know, company. And you have to laugh at them or else you will cry. There's this, I started following this person on Instagram called Hilariously Infertile. That's, you know,
awesome.
just if you're going through it, go follow Hilariously Infertile. That's inappropriate memes that will make you laugh about the things that you have to do when you are going through fertility stuff. But I think for me, it was holding on to knowing that God is with me, and I know my desired outcome. However, I want what God wants and has for me above all else. And there have been a lot of times in my life where I've had to get to this place of, God, I want what you want beyond my desired outcome. And that's a really, really easy thing to say, and it's a really hard place to get your heart to.
Absolutely. It's hard.
And so I always go back to the Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego story in Daniel, of the three men who are thrown into the fiery furnace, and they say, we know, God, that you can save us. We know that you can. We believe it. We know that you can. And then they say, but even if you don't, but even if you don't, you're still worthy of being praised. And so in several challenges of my life, I mean, there were many times where you talked about Robbie and I getting married. There were many years that I believed I would never get married. I didn't until I was 35. You know, I was like, what is wrong with me? I know. And it wasn't until I got to this place of, but God, but even if I don't, you are still worthy of being praised. And then God, you know, brought this incredible man into my life and blessed me with these two bonus children who are my stepchildren. And I don't love the word stepchildren, but just these beautiful boys that I couldn't have asked for or even imagined in my life. And then I knew from a young age that I would face this infertility thing. Actually, I had some health issues as a teenager, and my mom took me to an endocrinologist, and the doctor at that point said, when you want to get pregnant, it will be a struggle. And I heard, this is not what he said, but I heard as a 15, 16-year-old, you won't be able to have children. And I think looking back and kind of self-reflecting on that it was a self-preservation thing. So I didn't really let myself think or dream about having a baby because I didn't want to go through that disappointment. And then as Robbie and I were praying and thinking about expanding our family, I knew that we wanted to. I've always had this desire to be a mom, and becoming a stepmom was a piece of that, but I knew that God was calling me to more than that. And I was adopted as a baby, and I've always wanted and been interested in adoption, and that's been a big piece of my story. And so Robbie and I went to this adoption training class to do foster to adopt, and we did all of this, and we're just like, this is so awesome, and there's so many children who are in need of great parents, and we can be great parents, and yet it didn't feel right. And so Robbie kept saying, well, let's try this fertility stuff. And I kept saying, no, my body can't do it. I know that my body can't do it. And then I got on the phone with my best friend, Katie. We've been friends since we were in 6th grade. We met in confirmation here at our church. And then we went on to be roommates in college, and she's still my best friend to this day. And she said, Kay, you have to try the fertility. And I don't know what it was, but it was something about her saying that to me. And Robbie's like, I've been saying this to you for months. But she said it to me, and I said,
it sunk in.
Okay, I think that I can try it. And so we did. And but it was also getting to that place of, Lord, I know that you can, but even if you don't, you're still worthy to be praised, and you are still with me, and you are still good, and I'm going to trust that you have whatever you have for us, and I'm going to trust that. I'm going to trust our family to you.
Well, you had such positive images, too, of adoption. You're adopted. Your sister's adopted.
Yeah.
Your mom had gone through, not being able to, to have children. And she did a great job with y'all. And
she was incredible.
Yeah. So that wasn't like it was a negative.
No, not at all.
But it was just this, this yearning to, to make sure that, this is what God wants. And,
right.
And just pursuing it in that way. Yeah. Well, it's, it has been really wonderful to be with you, in the midst of the lower times and the struggles that you faced so admirably. But it's been amazing to be part of your life as a mother, both to those bonus boys as well as to Ellie, who's just a delight.
She is. She's a gift.
She is a
really
gift.
Is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think what I have loved, Kay, too, about you is your strength. And can you share with women out there how they can carry that kind of strength? Because you have this overwhelming amount. You do have large capacity to take on a whole lot of things at one time. Like that is one of your God-given gifts. But having capacity and having strength are not the same thing. And you have this overwhelming strength. And watching you go through that was amazing to watch. And women are stronger than they think they are. And I think we forget how strong women have to be sometimes. And I think you proved that. And that doesn't mean it was easy, but you showed such strength. What would you say to women, and how, your source of strength obviously comes from God, but what does that look like? What does that look like?
It does. Yeah, I would say, yes, you are stronger than you think you are because God is with you. But also, you don't have to be strong all the time. I think that sometimes we think that we have to show that we're strong all the time, and we can do it all, and we can hold it all, and we can be it all. But we have to learn to ask for help when we need it, and we have to. I had to rely on Robbie and my husband Robbie, and because it is such a personal thing. Sure. Yes, I am really open, and I'll talk to anybody about any aspect of it. But there were some things that were so private that he and I had to really walk this journey together. And so just being really vulnerable in those hurt places and talking about that together. And so I let a few people into those, really private places. My mom walked that journey with me, and Robbie and my friend Katie. And so letting people do that with you and holding up, it's like Moses having somebody hold up his arms when he couldn't. So letting people hold you up when you feel like you can't anymore. So yes, being strong in the Lord, but also letting others come alongside you and support you when you don't have to do it all by yourself.
Challenges like infertility, it can really stress a marriage. But in your case, it seems like that it deepened and strengthened yours and Robbie's marriage. Is that true? Is that
It is true. It is true. And it was hard because they pumped so many hormones into you, and I felt like a crazy person because they put, I was taking Clomid and all these things, and I just felt kind of insane. And now we look back and laugh at some of I was behaving kind of crazy at some points. And when Robbie and I went to dinner last night, we were laughing about some of the things that, like I got so mad at him in a gas station because he left without me. Like, it's all dumb looking back, but I was like, I can't believe you would leave me in here without, like he just walked out without me walking beside him, just things like that were crazy. He was like, but you were so full of hormones that were like 1,000 times your normal. And, but you have to choose to laugh about it. And yes, I think it definitely made us stronger and closer.
I can't even imagine Kay at the gas station. Can you?
I can't.
Robbie's one of the only human beings that's ever seen the out of control Kay.
And God bless him. But it's things like that that's just like you don't even feel like yourself because you're so, and you do have to get it together when you're at work and you're leading pastors and you're leading ministry and doing, pouring into others, and then go home, and he probably got the brunt of what was left over. But I think marriage is all about choosing to love, and he does that really, really well.
Ministry is an interesting vocation when you're in the midst of a tough struggle.
That's true.
And who does the pastor go to when the pastor needs to talk about issues like this? And did you find some colleagues, some pastors, particularly women pastors, that you could talk with? And
well, and Reagan Gilliland was so helpful to me through this because she had gone through it a few years before and was also really open about her journey, and so she was so supportive.
Right.
And then Amy Spohr, who's our pastor friend at Christ Foundry, is just been a dear, dear friend of mine, was also really supportive of me along the journey. And then my best friend Katie has always just walked with me through literally everything in my life. And so having those women around me, but also just colleagues here, like Dee Dee and others who were aware of what I was going through and offered a lot of grace and encouragement and prayers, and our whole staff. I really felt supportive and cheered on, and our little Ellie girl is just so loved, and that's been really special to see. But I also think about if Ellie hadn't have come, if it hadn't have been successful, God is still good.
Oh yeah.
And faithful, and so for those who have gone through this experience and don't have the result of a baby, or have lost their babies, or had miscarriages, or in the process of struggling, and they're like, well, yeah, you got what you wanted. I just want to be really mindful of that pain.
That God is still faithful.
And God is faithful and good and with you, and knows what you feel and where your heart is.
Dee Dee and I both shared our own personal journeys, which have been journeys of dealing with with life-threatening illnesses. Yes. And you reach a point where, and I think this is the point of healing. It's not the point of cure.
Right.
When you can say, God, I'm going to trust you with this because there's so many ways you can work this out.
Right.
Even if it leads to not being able to ever have a baby. Right. There's going to be another path that you're going to. When you get to that place of peace where you can just turn it over and say, this is going to work out. I'm going to get through the infertility treatments and all of that that comes into your life when you're going through that. I'm going to get through whatever life is dealing me. Robbie and I are we're going to be okay. Yep. And God is going to. He's going to bless us no matter what. Yeah. That's when healing occurs.
Yes, that's right.
In my opinion, that's when you have that peace that passes understanding, that God's got this, and it's just going to be okay.
That's right.
You don't have the solution. You don't know where where it's going, but you know it's in the right hands.
That's
And,
also
you know,
faith.
Yeah,
also
that's faith.
Yeah,
And there's
absolutely.
great biblical stories, you know, that uplift this, that took place thousands of years ago, where before infertility treatments were ever even imagined.
Right.
Where you know, you have people of faith, women of faith, who've said, "God, I'm going to turn this over to you. If I have a baby, that baby's going to be yours." And and you just hear that ring of healing that comes through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that I know that we got there because we had decided we're going to do this until the end of the year, because that was like our insurance and what our budget could afford. You know, all of those things come
Right.
into play too. And when you're going through all these treatments, it's all on this cycle, and you have to do a trigger shot at a certain hour, minute, and I forgot to do it the last round. And so I was late doing this trigger shot that gets the egg to come down and, you know, all the things. And so I was like, well, this is the last one. I was late, but okay. So I was late doing the trigger shot, and I was like, okay, well, I probably just messed up our whole thing, but this is the last one, so oh well. And that's when I actually got pregnant. So it's just
Wow.
kind of interesting that's the way it worked out. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
Which really causes you to put yourself in God's hands and say,
Yes.
you know, it wasn't the medicine and the doing it exactly the way it was
Right.
supposed to do. Ultimately, it was God,
Right.
and the way God used the medicine and used your body and used
And the
your
doctor,
relationship
who
and
was
the
amazing,
doctors
yeah.
and, you know, the nurses, and you start looking at all of these people and aspects of life that God has just served up for you,
Right.
and it all works together.
There's also this like element of comfort that comes from surrender.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's true.
When you surrender and you go, God, this is all I have left.
Yep.
There's this amazing amount of comfort that comes
Yes.
with
Yep.
Yeah. Well, Kay, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you both.
You know,
Appreciate
you've
it.
touched a lot of lives. You've certainly touched our lives by just sharing
Absolutely.
this morning, and we walked that journey with you. But we hadn't sat down like this and talked to the world through the Hope Connection. But we're glad that you were here, and thanks, and help us by sharing this with friends. There may be somebody that God's put on your heart who needs to hear this particular episode. Thank you. Well, a little longer than
Yeah, but I think
most.
that's